All right, so I've got a brand new camera lens here. I've got my old trusty microphone set up. I'm going to talk about something that I think both you and I love, which is the Muppets. And in fact, today, I'm going to rank all of the Muppets. All of them. But before we get to that, I just need to go over a little bit of a sponsor read. And today, our sponsor is Puppetry 101, Creating Film and Television Style Puppetry by Adam Krudinger. If you love the Henson style of puppetry, this is a great book to have, whether you're just getting into puppetry or you're a seasoned pro. And you might be familiar with the Puppet Nerd YouTube channel that Adam runs. If not, I think you should be.
Today I'm going to dissect my Kermit plush and turn it into a puppet.
Adam teaches things like how to make your own puppets and how to puppeteer them, but he goes a lot deeper in his book. He talks about the different styles of puppets, script writing, and how to perform on camera to create your own television style puppet show. Well, tell the people where they can get the book, Josh. I'm still learning here. But you can grab a copy of the book for yourself in the link below or visit puppetnerd.com for more. And even though I'm not the greatest of puppeteers yet, I do feel like I have a bit of authority because I'm a historian. So with that being said, I've got 3 different criteria to rank the Muppets. The first being about personality, how well-rounded and how well thought out these characters actually are. The second being longevity. How long have these characters been around with the Muppets, or how long do I feel like they're going to last with the Muppets in the future? And the third is personal preference. I know that you probably have your own personal preferences, which is fine. Leave your tier ranking in the comments of this video, or just leave a comment telling me how bad my ranking is, because I know somebody's probably going to. So, my name's Josh Taylor, this is Modern Mouse. Let's jump over to the computer and start ranking some Muppets, huh? Alright, so I've got all my tiers here. I've got S, A, B, C, D, and F. I don't know how many of these are going to be Fs, to be honest with you. Actually, I'm going to have a real hard time with this one. I feel like the Muppets, of everything I talk about, is the thing that brings me the most joy. So this is going to be extremely difficult. And also, I didn't say this up front. I should, though. Thank you to the people at patreon.com/modernmouse. You saw the new camera lens. We've also been able to update Joe's stuff as well. And so you'll see a lot more of that in the upcoming second season of Modern Mouse. But let's jump into the Muppets here. Very excited. I just finished watching the new Muppets Mayhem show, all about the Electric Mayhem band. And so we're starting out here alphabetical order. So Animal is coming first. And it feels to me like, of all of the characters, not just Muppets, but all over, who have limited talking capabilities or kind of maniacal or crazy, I'm thinking like Tasmanian Devil or other characters similar to that, it feels like Animal is kind of been fleshed out, especially in recent years. The 2011 film did a lot for him, and the Muppets Mayhem show did a lot for him. So it makes me feel like not only is the character great, but they're invested in the character's future. I personally enjoy Animal. He's not my favorite of the Electric Mayhem, but he's a great character. And I think a lot of people do love this character. I'm going to put him in the A tier. That could change. I'm not sure. Everything might be able to change by the end of this, just because once I start putting things on the board, things will become a lot more clear. But I feel like he's a solid A tier character. Beaker, well, he doesn't have a lot of personality, but he always reminds me of Wile E. Coyote or like Donald Duck, in the sense that like he's often used for comic gags. And so they continue to use him for that. So I think that he'll be around a long time. And I personally really enjoy Beaker as a character, especially when they use him to do singing parts or things like that. So for me, Beaker should end up higher in the rankings, although I don't see him as an A tier character. I might put him as a B tier character. He's one that I want to see And when I do see him, I enjoy him, but I don't know if I want to see him as much as some of the main cast. Um, he runs the risk of being too overexposed. Bean Bunny. Bean is one of the first characters that's kind of like a less common character here. And I tried to put together a good cast of characters that often get used or have been used in the past. I saw the main cast of characters, and then I thought there should be some more of these characters to round out the list. Not to say that I just added Bean Bunny to make him a lower tier character, but I think that he's a significant enough character in Muppets history, especially when you hit the early 90s. The problem that I see with Bean Bunny is that it felt like he was trying to move into the Rizzo the Rat character space and pretty much be the third wheel to Rizzo and Gonzo before Pepe came into play. But it never really clicked because I think he's too much like Rizzo, but he's also a bit too innocent to be Rizzo. In that sense, I'm going with D tier. I like Bean Bunny, which probably keeps him from being F tier, but I don't see him ever really coming back or making a return because they just don't need him. They have so many other characters that are similar enough to him, but are just more well-rounded and well thought out personalities. Beauregard is the janitor from the Muppet Show. You see him in a cameo in the 2011 film. I don't think he's made an appearance. I think he might be in the ABC show, but I think that's the last time you see him. But he's a cameo appearance kind of character, but doesn't really play a significant part in anything. You get the impression of who he is, but ultimately, I'm gonna put him next to Bean Bunny here. You could take him or leave him. You know, if you took him out of the Muppets today, I don't know how many people would really notice. So there's that. Bobo the bear was an addition in the 90s with the Muppets Tonight Show. He stuck around, but he's not really they haven't done anything with him that's really mattered. He always he ends up being like somebody's lackey or the doorman or whatever, and his personality is there, but he's very more one-dimensional in that regard. I'm gonna make him a C tier character. I'm gonna try and be honest and fair with these. I would love to make them all A tier, S tier characters, but there's that. Camilla basically serves, the only purpose that she serves along with the other chickens is to be with Gonzo. Or I guess the only purpose that she serves, but the other chickens end up serving, kind of being her backup. The weird history, I don't know if you could have Gonzo be as weird as he is without the connection to Camilla. But at the same time, if you took away Camilla, I don't know if you'd really lose a ton from the Muppets. But she surprises me. The chickens always surprise me because they always bring them out and do something amazing with them. I'm gonna put her above Bobo. I'm gonna put her behind Beaker. I think it's a solid B tier character, but on the lower end. So I think a lot of characters are going to move ahead of her on that B tier listing. Clifford, the host of the Muppets Tonight Show, hasn't really been seen much since I think Muppets from Space. And unfortunately, I don't see the character coming back. Although I do love the character. I'd love to see more of him because he adds something new and interesting to the Muppets that they don't really have. The unfortunate side of it is that I feel like he's not doing anything in the future, and unfortunately I don't know if I can put him. I'll put him above, put him again behind Camilla. I think Camilla's a more important character because of the connection to Gonzo. I wish that Clifford was connected to something else, the band, or maybe closer to Kermit, or whatever the case might be. Constantine. Constantine is the villain of Muppets Most Wanted. They've kind of teased possibly bringing him back. He's become a really great meme, so his longevity has probably outlasted that film. The biggest thing that's the takeaway from Muppets Most Wanted is Constantine being a meme. And so with that, I think that he's lasted a while, and I would actually put him, because of that, put him on the C tier. I think that there's enough pop culture references that you can pull from that character to keep him around for a little while longer. I also just think, what a great villain, probably the greatest villain since the original Muppet movie film, back in the late 70s, early 80s. Can't remember the year right now. Anyways, fantastic villain and great memes. Crazy Harry. Crazy Harry is he might be my first F tier listing. He's of kind of the lesser known Muppets. Lacks personality. Obviously, he makes things explode. That's his exciting thing to do. But I feel like Gonzo does that as well. Some of the other characters have a good time doing similar things. They're much more interesting. Putting Crazy Harry down here. Sorry. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. I like Beaker more than Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, but without the Doctor, you can't have Beaker. They are a Abbott and Costello type of act. They are a comedy duo. Because of that, I feel like they have to go together here on the B tier. Get into the band, get into the Electric Mayhem with Dr. Teeth. Surprisingly, watching the Muppets Mayhem show makes me like Dr. Teeth a lot more. I understood the character. I understood his personality before the show. But he was never my favorite of the Electric Mayhem band. In fact, he might be one of my least favorite characters of the Electric Mayhem band. Even though it's his name on the band, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. That being said, I want to put him as a solid B tier character because I think I want to see him on screen a lot more. Like what I said with Beaker, Beaker's one that you could take in small doses, but overexposure would ruin the character. I don't think overexposure would ruin Dr. Teeth. I think he's a fantastic character on screen. A lot of fun, the way that he talks, very unique to the character. The TV show on Disney Plus giving him a great backstory. So I'm all in. On the other hand, Sergeant Floyd Pepper, is my favorite of the Electric Mayhem band. I think that he's a fantastic character, well thought out personality, and I think he deserves to be an A tier character, and I'm going to put him back here behind Animal. Animal's well beloved, and he'll be sticking around for years and years to come. I can't say the exact same thing for Floyd Pepper, but I love the character, and I hope that he sticks around forever. Fozzie is an S tier character. He's one of the originals. He's a character who I wouldn't base an entire film around or an entire show around, like the Electric Mayhem. I think that he adds a lot. His friendship with Kermit, his commitment to the gang, he is just classic Muppets. Like especially when you think of Frank Oz and Jim Henson and their friendship, it just kind of mirrors Kermit and Fozzie. And so for the reasons behind the scenes and the reasons on screen, he's got to be one of the top tier. You can't think about the Muppets without thinking about Fozzie Bear. And the same goes with Gonzo, and I think that Gonzo's a better character. He is one that got his own film, basically, with Muppets in Space. He's a character that I want to see more of on screen than Fozzie. And I think that he's been consistent throughout the years and continues to be one of the best Muppets that they've ever created. it's going to be really hard to be ahead of Gonzo on this tier list. He might be one of the best. Janice. Janice is part of the Electric Mayhem. Again, great part of the new TV show, the Muppets Mayhem. And I think that she deserves to be probably right behind Dr. Teeth here. A really great character. I love her in the show. I love what she's added to the band, but also the Muppet cast as a whole, especially since it's very male-dominated cast. So it's great to have that kind of character. And in Muppets Mayhem, she does a great job of not just being a character that is only connected to her boyfriend, husband, I'm not really sure, Floyd Pepper. Like, she has her own stuff going on. I love that she does that. Joe, the legal weasel, I don't know, a recent character. I don't know how long he'll stick around, though, or what his personality is besides being kind of a conniving lawyer character. I feel like he's around more probably in the future than Bean Bunny is, but I still see him as kind of a D tier character. Great little moments that he's had, but not much else. All right, Johnny Fiamma, the lounge singer, again from Muppets Tonight, pops up here and there, but not necessarily a character that anybody cares about, anybody needs to hear from. Unfortunately, just, I'm gonna put him F tier. Not because I don't... I'm gonna put him D tier. I like the character, but he is not necessary. Maybe a little more necessary than Beauregard, but just not a necessary character. And then we're to Kermit the Frog. And how could you have the Muppets and not have Kermit the Frog? He's got one of the greatest, multiple, actually, greatest songs of all time. If you were going to put a top 100 list songs of all time, at least 2 of them are going to be from Kermit the Frog. We've got It's Not Easy Being Green, which, so good. We've got Not Easy Being Green, and we've got Rainbow Connection, 2 fantastic songs. So he's definitely a performer. He is the leader of the gang. He is the heartbeat of the gang. So even though I would say my personality and a lot more people relate to Gonzo, I think that Kermit, you can't have the Muppets without Kermit. And because of that, he has to be number 1. Again, Gonzo, I think, for most people is related. It's similar to like something like the Ninja Turtles, right? Like a lot of people would say like, oh, I'm Michelangelo, or I'm Raphael, or I'm Donatello. Like, they're much more relatable, even though Leonardo is the leader of the gang. Like, he's the least of the ones that you would relate to. But you can't have the Ninja Turtles without Leonardo. But kind of a weird comparison. But like, Kermit the Frog feels like if you didn't have Kermit, you wouldn't have the Muppets. It wouldn't have worked. So we'll go with that. And I've got New Zealand. New Zealand is similar to Crazy Harry, like in the sense that he doesn't get used a lot. But when he does get used, he's so much more unique than Crazy Harry is. Because of that, this is going to be controversial. Putting him in the C tier. Back behind Constantine, because I don't think that he is as well remembered or well enjoyed, but I see him as better than all these other D and F tier characters. I mean, he might be at the front of the D tier, but I think it's a solid C tier character here. We've got Link Hogthrob. Hilarious name, but a character that doesn't really get used at all anymore, and one that is super one-dimensional. I'm gonna put him as well with Crazy Harry down here in the F tier. Totally unnecessary. Don't see him really making a comeback in any way. He's a little bit more interesting than Crazy Harry is, but there we go. We've got the newest, quote unquote, newest addition to the Electric Mayhem, also part of the house band and the original Muppets. It's Lips. Again, Muppets Mayhem gave him a lot more to do, and he definitely had a lot of great funny lines, or whatever you want to call it, since he kind of mumbles a bit. But of all of the Electric Mayhem, because he's the latest addition, he's also the easiest one to cut from the band. And because of that, I'm going to put him as a top of the tier C tier character. But he's front runner there on the C tier. I think we've still got one more band member. Yeah, back at the end here was Zoot. So we'll see where the other band member, the Electric Mayhem, ranks. Miss Piggy, again, S tier. How could you not have the Muppets without Miss Piggy? Although I want to see her a lot more than Fozzie. I don't know if she's as connected to people as Gonzo is. So I'm going with that. The Newsman is a very usable character, constantly being used in certain ways. In certain ways, he's a newsman. That's how you use him. But he is getting used, and he gets used a lot more than these F and D tier characters. And I'm gonna put him behind Bobo here on the C tier list. That's where he's going. He's above Constantine and New Zealand, but he's no Lips and he's no Bobo. Pepe the King Prawn. 10 years ago, I would have said that he's A tier. I think, though, because he's replaced Rizzo a bit, he might move into the S tier. And he's a character, one of my favorites, probably my favorite of the Muppets, but overexposure is too much, so I like when he's used kind of at a minimum. He gets a good couple of lines in an episode or in a film. He stays my favorite that way. I don't want to see like a fleshed out whole show about Pepe, though, but I do enjoy him quite a bit. Rizzo is, this pains me to say it, I love Rizzo as well. But I think that he is falling down the ladder here. He was an S tier character. He made his way all the way from nobody in the F tier all the way to the S tier, and his absence and lack of TV time or film time means he's kind of moving down the list. And I'm putting him on the A tier behind Animal and Floyd Pepper. Same with Robin. Robin is one that you don't see a lot of anymore, unfortunately. I love Robin, but Robin is just not really doing anything anymore, except for very few lines here or there. And because of that, I'm putting him as a B tier character, putting him behind Camilla. I don't think that he's necessary. He's not as connected to Kermit as Camilla is connected to Gonzo's personality. Kermit could, if they never introduced Robin, Kermit would be fine. But Robin's nice. I enjoy Robin. I think he's a cute little guy. Rolf is the original Muppet. Interestingly enough, he came long before any of these other characters. But where does he rank? Because he's not as necessary these days as the musician of the group. He's kind of been outranked by the Electric Mayhem. And he gets minimal screen time these days. So I think he becomes maybe a B character, which kind of stinks because I love Ralph. Ralph has one of the best lines in the Muppets film from 2011, where they're doing the montage. One of the best bits in the entire film. And I think one of the best little bits back and forth with Kermit in the original Muppet movie. He's not as needed these days. I'm gonna put him ahead of Robin here, behind Camilla. I feel like this is a travesty for Ralph. I feel bad for him. Sal Manila, the ape who usually goes with Johnny. I think that he's funnier and could potentially have a better lasting place among the Muppets. But they've never really used him to his full extent. In that regards, I'm gonna put him ahead of Johnny. But he's kind of down here in the D tier. Like, not if they use him, great, but he's not really needed. Sam Eagle is not top tier. I think he's A tier. Sam Eagle is fantastic as a great little antagonist for the Muppets. Even though he's a part of the gang, he adds something totally different that nobody else brings to the table. He's not like Statler and Waldorf, who clearly we're coming up on, but he is reluctant, and I find that necessary with the Muppets. I'm putting him ahead of Rizzo here. In fact, I'm going to put him ahead Sergeant Floyd Pepper here. I think that he deserves to be an A tier ranking if they're behind Animal. We're to Scooter. Scooter is another classic character like Sam Eagle, although not used as much these days, also like Sam Eagle. But I think that he is a fantastic character. In the Muppets ABC TV show in the mid-20 teens, he had some significant parts, more so than Sam Eagle. But I also don't find him nearly as interesting as Sam Eagle. And I also don't know if I find him as interesting as Dr. Teeth or Janice. I'm gonna put him back here behind Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. I think that's where I was gonna go. And now we're to Statler, with Statler and Waldorf. Again, I feel like those two have to go together somewhere. And I'm gonna put him A tier, back here behind Rizzo. I feel like Statler and Waldorf are just necessary to the Muppets. They have so many long-lasting lines. Like when you think of Fozzie, you can't help but think about Statler and Waldorf. That just kind of works. In fact, I'm just going to move Waldorf up right behind him. They don't really have like a ranking one ahead of the other. It just Statler and Waldorf go together. And we got the Swedish Chef. He seems really necessary. Again, brings something different to the Muppets. And I think that he's doing more than Rizzo these days. In fact, I would say that he might be doing more than Sam Eagle these days. I'm putting him up here ahead of Sam Eagle, behind Animal. Wow. It still pains me to see Rolf here on the B list, but I feel like he's there on the B, unfortunately. All right, now we got Sweetums, who is a fan favorite for a lot of people, although I'm not necessarily sure why. He does bring something different to the Muppets because he's a full-suited character, but they're not doing a lot with him these days. I don't know if they're going to continue. I mean, they'll continue to do stuff with him, but very bit parts. They're not going to flesh out this character, do anything interesting with him. I feel like he kind of fits with the newsman in that regards, but I think he is more interesting than the newsman. Just putting him on the C tier listing, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for that. I feel like there's some real Sweetums lovers out there. that really love him. And I think that goes back to when during Muppet Vision 3D, when that attraction first opened in the 90s, you'd see the 3D film, but then an actual person dressed as Sweetums would come out, which still does happen for that show. But that's, I think, the most interesting thing they've done with Sweetums, and that happened in the early 1990s. So that says a lot about the character. Then we got Uncle Deadly, a character that they continue to use, interestingly, and a character that they have continued to find reasons to keep around. Crazily, like, this character should not be as used as it is, but because he's used quite often and seems to be continually getting used, then I would say that he deserves to maybe be a bit higher than like Sweetums. But I don't know, like, he kind of still fits in the C tier to me. Doesn't feel like he's this is the thing. I kind of feel like now I'm set, like, Clifford is here on the B tier. And I'm kind of feeling like Clifford should move down to the C tier here. Because I know he's not going to get used anymore. He's falling in favor right now for me. I feel like he's fallen way behind on the C tier list, which allows me to put Uncle Deadly up here and right behind Lips. I feel like Lips is getting used more now than he was before. It's kind of on the same plateau of where Uncle Deadly is. Getting used, not really overly fleshed out. An interesting character to have around, and he has something different to offer. But, you know, if he wasn't used in something, I wouldn't be hurt. You know, like if they made a new movie that comes out next year and they've got all the characters except for Uncle Deadly, I wouldn't think twice about, like, where that character was. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? Walter. We're coming towards the end here. So Walter, fantastic character they added in 2011. Kept him going a little bit in Muppets Most Wanted. I don't even know if he made an appearance in the Muppets ABC show or in Muppets Haunted Mansion. If he did, it was very minimal. But I like the character a lot. I want him to stick around. But I kind of see him in this Rolf Robin area. So that's where I'm going. I'm actually sticking him maybe ahead of Robin, but behind Rolf. Oops. I hope he moves up the ladder, but he could easily move down the ladder as well. Also, I'm really surprised here that I have so many B and C tier list Muppets, and so little S tier and A tier Muppets. But I guess, like, that's the point of the tier, right? Like, most stuff would kind of fall kind of in the middle. You really save these top tiers for the cream of the crop, and so makes sense. I've got Yolanda here, who does, of all the rats, besides Rizzo, does have kind of a prominent feature in the films. She's even a part of the Muppets ABC show from the mid-2010s. So she's had some longevity, been around, and I could see her popping up here or there again, but not necessarily anything more than what she is. You know, sometimes she's a love interest for Rizzo. Sometimes she is like the secretary or waitress or something, and whatever. She's used as just a bit player, and that's all she'll ever really be. I'm gonna put her ahead of Joe, the legal weasel here. She's at the lower end of the tiers for sure. And then we're at the last of the Electric Mayhem, and Zoot, I feel like, is an interesting character, not as interesting as Lloyd Pepper, definitely not as interesting as Dr. Teeth or Janice. I think a lot of people forget that he even exists in the band, but I think that he's more developed than Lips is, and I like him more. I like him about the same as Lips, to be honest, as far as characters. But I feel like he's a little bit more prominent in other things outside of the Muppets Mayhem show. So I'm going to probably set him up in the B tier. And I might put him ahead of Rolf these days. And probably Camilla. But how does he seem? Is he more important than Scooter? Is he rank higher than Scooter? I don't think so. I think this is. Let's see where I'm gonna look at this really quick. I might make some changes like I did with Clifford, but I think I feel solid about this. I feel like really weird that like I didn't just like move all of these into S and A tier over time. Like I was really struggled with moving some of these up a bit. Like I want to anything that's like on the high end of a lettering group, I want to move up into the next tier. Like I want to move Animal into S tier, but I'm not going to. I want to move Dr. Teeth into A, and Janice probably. I could move Lips into B. Yolanda, I could probably move into C. I could find a way. But I'm not gonna. Beauregard, I could probably move down to F. Clifford, I could even probably move down to D if need be. Robin down to C. But I think I'm just gonna stick with this. This is my end result here. This is my tier list. So at the top we've got Kermit, Gonzo, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, and Pepe. And then A tier at the very front we've got Animal and Swedish Chef, Sam Eagle, Sergeant Lloyd Pepper, Rizzo, Statler, Waldorf. I feel like this is gonna be. Those are probably common answers. Like these are probably like ranked where most people will probably rank these characters. The rest is kind of really subjective. So, anyways, let me know. Put your rankings down below. And thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone's time. Check out patreon.com/modernmouse. Thanks to all the people that are giving me upgrades. I also do every 2 weeks I do a short where I watch along the entire short and I give tidbits. I pause and give tidbits and knowledge behind that short, whether it's production notes or maybe my own personal notes that go along with that short. As well as there's a podcast that we put out every week. Joe and I talk about something that's coming up. And then we've got season 2 coming up fairly soon for Modern Mouse. So make sure to be on the lookout. Until the next time, my friends, thank you for watching. Keep moving forward.